What was that?
Surname?
Rizzo. Yeah, R-I-Z-Z-O.
Yeah. Thought so. Just thought I'd confirm. Yeah, I'll do a little intro, and then you'll know when to start, and then we'll go for it. 25 or so minutes, and see how we go.
All right. Hopefully it works out for you.
It'll be perfect. I have no doubt. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Carlton People. We're really churning these out lately. It's fantastic to be adding more stories to the collection. On today's episode, I've got someone who has seen the glory years, lived through the glory years, the good old days that we hear about in 2020. His name is Lorenzo Rizzo. Hello, my friend.
G'day, Terry. How you going?
Mate, I'm really well. I'm really excited to chat to you this morning. We were at the Best and Fairest last year together, sitting on the table.
Yes.
We got to connect properly there. But more importantly, mate, how are you going?
I'm doing well. I mean, I'm looking forward to this stage 4, but I'd rather be in stage 4 than having stage 4 of cancer, mate. So I think it's a positive.
No, definitely. We've always got a choice, don't we? How we approach any situation. I mean, we can dwell on the fact that we're in lockdown, or we can look at the fact that, hey, we're healthy, we're alive, and we've got footy to watch.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's the way.
Mate, tell me a little bit about you, and obviously for the viewers watching, where do you begin in the Carlton world? How does it all start for you?
I think like most Europeans, I started in Coburg, Moreland. I went to Moreland Primary, and, there's a tram on Sydney Road. Sydney Road takes you straight to Princes Park, and it was awesome. And I was fortunate enough that at Moreland Primary, Robert Walls was a teacher there. So he was a teacher. And also there was a player who used to wear number 33, Paul Hurst.
Right.
Curly hair. Bit of a mad bloke, I think he was. He didn't play many games, but he was also a teacher there. And that just encouraged me to just follow the Blues, yeah? And it was just bleeding blue from then.
Wow. So what's your first memory of going to a game or watching? Where does it start in the memory?
In those days, you could just, as long as you go out and come home at night, the parents didn't say much, yeah? Yeah? And we're talking, I'm 6, 7, 8. We wander around and we come home at night, so before dark. So I used to just get on the tram, never used to pay, and sneak into Princes Park.
How good's that? The good old days.
Awesome. But I suppose when it really happened for me was when you get your license, or you're in your teenagers where you can actually have a bit more flexibility. So that period for me was 79 grand final, 81, 82, it was Mecca, yeah? And then fortunate to do the 86, 87, and then 95 was the ultimate.
I mean, it's kind of, me, myself, in terms of what I've experienced, I look at my friends who are, the Hawthorn supporters or the Geelong supporters who had that era or that dynasty. I'm not sure if you classify them as a dynasty, but so you grew up in, with all these stories, these famous players, these individuals. What was that like?
Awesome. It was just, from all the players I used to have a duffel coat, with the number 8 on my back, Trevor Keogh.
Yep.
And Dool was my favourite as well, and just watching so many of these players is just, I can rattle them off. We can just keep going with them, but it was just, we had a team that constantly, we just built new players coming into our team. And like a 79, we had Wayne Johnston, and then in the 81, 82, we started to get Kent Sheldon, Alex Marcoux, Wayne Harms, and Rod Ashman, and they just continue. And it was awesome. But there's been some down times as well. 93 was a shocker.
Mm-hmm.
93 was an absolute shocker. 94 was even worse. I remember being at VFL Park in 94. We played Geelong in the semi-final. The outs before the game were Couch, Buddha Hocking, and Bairstow. probably their three best players and their captain. I thought we're home. We end up losing. I spend the last quarter in the bar. I thought Spalding, either if I had a gun, I would have shot him. And what the element was there was when I saw Peter Dean and Fraser Brown, they run into each other. No one to compete against them. And I thought, we're gone and we lose. We're out. And we were a really good team in 94, yeah? And it was guttling. I think that's what made us in 95, Terry, right? What really made us in 95 was the hurt of 94, because we were a really good team. Not to mention 93, we lose the grand final. And another thing I'll mention is that, I mean, we beat Adelaide in that semi-final. That was that famous run by Harry Madden down the middle, yeah? This big dinosaur. Anyway, we smash Adelaide, right? I go to the next game, being just an absolute passionate footballer. I go to the next day to watch Essendon play West Coast. And the only reason why those bastards Essendon won, right, is that West Coast, they were depleted, Worsfold. They had no one on the bench, and they won by 33. And that day, I saw David Parkin, right? Mad as I am, I went up to him, right? I said to him, Mr. Parkin, I said, Peter Dean, he was injured. He was a bit of a 50-50 of playing, but we needed to play him for that toughness, yeah?
Okay.
So I said to Mr. Parkin, Mr. Parkin, I said, listen, as much as you want to take it, you got to play Peter Dean. No matter 90% fit, you got to play him. He said, son, you just worry about supporting us and I'll deal with that. End up not playing him in 93. So the first thing that happened in 93 is Wallace from Essendon just smashed us, right? We went to water. And we had players like Tim Powell, Mark Aythorne. They wouldn't get a game for Braybrook. They were no good. And Kernahan should have got best on ground, kicked 7-4, taught that. Can't remember who that tall, lanky Essendon full back. He's a gun. Fletcher taught him a football lesson, kicked 7-4 on him. Yeah. So they were I think that's what made 95. You know, we lose 2 games for the year, Terry. It was sorry, man. It was awesome.
You could swear. It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, to go to the football and show up every week and win and smash them, it was, and I think that's what made us, the 94, when we copped it from Geelong.
Yeah. I spoke to Paul Barbaza on one of these episodes a few weeks ago now, and he's grown up very similar to you, seeing, you know, the mighty Blues in all their glory, and he was reeling off the names, some of them that you just mentioned, and he touched on, as soon as he said Bruce Doull, he just paused, and like I was sitting next to him, and he got emotional because of the impact that Bruce Doull had. Do you feel the same for Bruce Doull, or was there another player that really just got you and got you going?
Oh, Bruce Doull was just consistent. Never got beaten. Saw him they used to have night grand finals. I forget what they're called, the pre-season games.
Yep.
At VFL Park. And we beat Hawthorn, I think. And that was the night that some Hawthorn player ripped off his headband.
Right.
Never seen him get upset before. Went ballistic.
Right.
Just lost it. Right. Throwing punches everywhere. So, no, he was a great footballer. Just the flying doormat, you know, he's just awesome. But, I mean, the things I remember clearly is just going to these other grounds, you know, to go to Geelong at Cardinia Park, and Wayne Johnston was Mr. September, right? So when some finals came, he went to another level.
Why is that? What was that? Was he just not good during the season, or was he good during the season and he just found another gear? What was it with him?
I think he was good throughout the season, but some players like Kenny Hunter was another one.
Yeah.
Just it came to deliver, and I think it's all this, Terry. It's all heart, yeah. And they just want it more, and it was just incredible. Those two particular in September, Kenny Hunter and Wayne Johnston, just went to another level. I think in '82 he should have won the Norm Smith. He didn't. I think he kicked 2-4 where he should have kicked 4-2. But, sadly, I went to Kardinia Park and he was at the end of his career, and I'm sitting there with my brother-in-law and I see Gary Ablett line him up, young Gary Ablett. And he just took 2 steps and he cleaned him up, finished his career.
Right.
And I can rattle them off. I mean, we go to Moorabbin and I see Sauce play on Tony Lockett. You'll never hear of this again, Terry, right? Lockett kicked 10 goals. 10 goals, 6, I think. And he got 3 votes. And 2 votes were given to Sauce.
Wow.
Because if it wasn't for Sauce, he would have kicked 25.
There, wow. That good.
It was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. I've heard you talk about Stephen Kernahan quite a lot and just how reliable he was. And, obviously for me, I come into the world in 91. I see a little bit of sticks, but not really enough to really say I remember him playing. I feel like he sort of, as the time goes on, he sort of goes down in the pecking order. But from what I hear from you and from most Carlton supporters who grew up watching him, he, a kid that was captain at 21 and just talk to me about him and what he was.
Before I say that, I think we've been fortunate, Terry, with captains. I think the guy before that, Mike Fitzpatrick, Rhodes Scholar at Oxford. What a captain. What a captain and a player. So we've been fortunate with some unbelievable captains, yeah? But Sticks, I mean, he comes in 86, plays his first year, plays in a grand final, losing grand final, and then next year we make him captain. I mean, that just tells you character. In front of people like Wayne Johnston and these sort of senior players. So the club really saw something in him, and he was just reliable. He never really missed a game, played great with injury, great leader, just a great leader. I think he was a man's man. So behind the scenes, I think he does well having a few beers, So he was a boy's boy, but a man's man as well, and just led the team really well.
Yeah. It just seems like we just made the right decisions most of the time with who we brought in. Obviously the landscape's changed now with the draft and salary cap and what. So what was it about just whoever came to Carlton ended up playing well? That's what it seems like to me when I speak to people like yourself who grew up in the golden era. Yeah. What was it about bringing people that just always seemed to click? Was it the list manager? Was it the culture? Both?
I think like any other great business corporates, it's always the back end. Yeah, it's always the board members. And, like we're talking dark time. Elliot was a key pivotal guy. Even though he went a bit above board and a bit below board in some of his actions, everything was purely for the best of Carlton. All right. Now, I think the element of himself, we had Wes Lofts, just pure, just mountain of men for Carlton. I think that was the real reason. And you had such, Dick Pratt, our Messiah, and every other Jewish, Smorgan, Lieberman, Morgan, whatever their names. I mean, they were all Carlton men.
Yep.
So we had great money and great minds, great business heads. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So when you then bring, I think, a Wes Lofts to that football brain, football head, John Elliott, who just never said no to nobody and just got it.
Yep.
And then I see the demise of Ian Collins, who's the Judas, working for AFL Commission. There was definitely, I don't want to go political too much, but there was definitely an out for John Elliott. They wanted to get rid of him, right?
Right.
So AFL Commission, he then leaves AFL Commission, second in charge, becomes president of Carlton. How the hell that fucking happened? Within 1 year, Elliott's gone and we've lost Princes Park. We're never going to be playing at Princes Park. We're playing at Etihad or whatever it was called, Telstra Dome. He leaves at the end of the year and becomes the CEO of Etihad, Telstra Dome.
Right. Wow.
And that's,
there you go.
And there's the,
the demise of the club.
Yeah, and there was a couple of players I don't really want to mention. Everyone knows them, that they were owed money and they were told to wait. They didn't wait, and they blabbed and
Yeah,
they brought us undone.
yeah. And then we've had people like me who grew up in that era. So
Mm.
feeling the pain. So let's fast forward to now, because my observation is we have a bit of a divided supporter base, and what I mean by that is basically the Carlton Football Club's just always been the great Carlton Football Club, and I feel like my generation is the first generation to really experience these type of lows where we've had to really reset, not only on the field, but I think there's just been a cultural shift. So how have you adjusted to the modern era of the club, and what principles apply from back then to now?
You come to understand as a Carlton supporter, grown up, it's our God-given right to win, mate. We're an arrogant bunch.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
We're fucking winners, mate. We don't accept, and that's how we used to run it,
Yeah, yeah,
So then all these changes happen, and yes, the draft, and you can't do, and you can't buy. So things change, but I think it's more football, Terry, that's changed. I actually spoke to Jezza once, and I just love speaking to these guys. And I said to him, tell me what's changed in football, And he summed it up for me, He goes, I still watch it. He goes, but it's not about playing. He goes, today it's all about speed and confusion. He goes, when I used to even watch it, not when I used to play it, it was all about skill and courage.
yeah,
And I think that sums up the game. So it's changed a bit. But as Carlton, I mean, it's hard to watch us being down for so long and make some constant mistakes in the draft.
yeah.
Constant,
Yeah, I mean, we feel when at the time of recording this, we're finally at a point with this new group, this new rebuild, where we think, okay, they're showing signs of improvement. It's taken a while to get here, and I got really just so happy with. I'm happy at the moment. 3-3. It's finally looking like it's something. I don't know if it's going to eventuate into a grand final team or a premiership, but of what you're seeing from this group, what are some of the signs that you're seeing that are either impressing you, or are you not impressed yet?
Oh no, I am. I think last week impressed me. The rest are serviceable results, yeah. But last week impressed me. I think the most thing that I'm really happy about, and I think moving forward, is that we're starting to build up a spine. And that spine starts from defense. So those two boys at the back, especially Wiedering, when you got that rock solid, and touch wood, he doesn't get injured, is a real pivotal, point to where you're going to grow. And then you continue through that spine, and you've got Cripps in the middle, and couple these boys at, Mackay or McKay, Casbolt, in that framework, is starting to build up a bit of strength, and more durability of games. We're just going to get better and better.
Yeah, it seems like the strategy was, I think, with the rebuild before this one, the Murphy Cruiser Gibbs rebuild, I call it. We sort of went for the gun midfielders first, then worried about the key positions later. And we kind of come unstuck. Whereas now it seems like we went the other way around. Build the towers.
That's right.
At either end, and midfielders come and go every year. Every single year, there's always 6 or 7 of them in a draft. So, do you think that? Do you see that as well?
I think that's the key.
Yep.
I think that's the key. In all teams that have been successful, if you don't have that spine in the middle, from back to forward, I mean, you think of Carlton in all those heydays, we've never had a full forward.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
We've had very average full forwards.
Yeah.
We've had amazing centre half forwards, amazing full backs and centre half backs.
Yeah.
Great centreman ruck rovers, but never a full forward.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'd wonder, did you classify Fev as a full forward?
Yeah, but he was in our downtime.
Yeah.
He actually played his own sort of game, but really there was no relevance to the team expanding to be successful.
Yeah, in the context of the history of the club, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Who are some of the boys that you see now that you really take a liking to?
I've been with my nephew. I banter with him, but it was good to see Kennedy play last week.
Yeah, you're a fan?
I'm a fan. Yeah.
What is it about him?
I just think he's got the right physique now. He's trimmed up. I think he can play. He's versatile, and he's actually attacks the football quite well. I wish he had a bit more speed, but he doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he can actually take a mark. I like Kennedy. I saw the ins on the extended bench, this Cottrell that I've been raving about. He hasn't played yet, but he's a kid that we need to give these kids a go, yeah? So I'd like to see these new kids. I don't know where Stocker is. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
But I want to see some of those play, yeah?
There's a little bit of that. There's a bit of, especially over the last few years, anyone really that we've drafted has just been given a game due to the fact that the list is where it is. We're rebuilding. There's two sides to the coin. On the one hand, you want to give them as many games as you can early, get the experience into them at the level, show them what it takes, let them learn their lessons. And then on the other hand, it seems what's happened this year is we've brought a few more older guys in, Betts, Pitternet, Noons, Martin, and then all of a sudden, Matt Kennedy can't get a game. He has to knock the door down. Stocker, we all want to know what's going on there, and he can't get a game. And I don't know, where do you sit on that? Are you someone that wants to just see them in there for the sake of getting them experience, or do you like the fact that Teague's making them have to knock the door down like Kennedy?
Traditionally, you say that's the best way to go, yeah?
Yep.
Because you got to perform and you got to knock down the door. But I think that if he can inject these one or two a week to give them the experience, because as you know, let's face it, Simo, Murphy, they're not going to be around forever, you know.
Yeah.
So I think one element in that back has been enlightening is that Williamson. I mean, I always thought it's good, but how great to watch, yeah. And that moment when he was on the bench and that, you know, getting his ankle strapped and he's cheered because we kicked that goal. I mean, that's hard. That's what you like, isn't it?
Yeah. You can argue that we've had, you know, these skillful, talented players, and not that they don't care about their craft and their careers, but I guess there's been an argument in the past that some of these guys are just really skillful, and they're guys that have just always throughout their careers, whether it's been junior level or senior level, have always been looked at and spoken about like, gun, you're a good player, gun. Whereas then you've got guys that have come in like, look at Pitternet, look at Gibbons, you look at even Williamson to a degree for different reasons, who have had adversity, whether it's through injury or being overlooked. And I feel like we've added a good mix of those type of guys, because all of a sudden Kennedy, they call him the man-child, Bam Bam, he's a gun, top 10 draft pick and big contracts. You know, all of a sudden he's in a situation for the first time in his career where he's like, well, shit, I'm good enough, but I don't work hard enough, and Gibbons is in my spot now.
Yeah, and I think adding to that, Terry, is it's how we're improving our bottom seven in that 21 list.
Yep.
As those bottom seven and pushing up, trying to get selection, are getting better, we're just going to be a better football team.
Yep.
Because previously our bottom seven were, you could play at Laylaw, mate. They wouldn't even get a game, you know. But now that bottom seven, they're not too bad, you know. You know, I just think there's a couple of them that are a bit inconsistent, and but hopefully we make those changes and we just move forward. I mean, there's a lot of upside there, Terry.
Yep. I've got a few more before I let you go. I like to ask these two questions to everyone. So the first one is, I'm going to make you list manager for a moment. I'm going to give you the unlimited war chest. We can go back to the old days where there was no salary cap. who is one player from another club that you would put into this team that we have right now?
Good question. Good question. One player that I would put in now. Ask me the other question, and I'll come back and answer that, Terry.
All right. The other question is which year will we win the flag?
2020. We could do an Essendon, the young Bombers.
Yeah, the baby Bombers.
Baby Bombers, and we could win it next year.
Hmm.
But realistically, I think probably 2024 is probably our year. But we could do an Essendon, baby Bombers, yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I'm hoping that what we're building here is going to be something that when we do get to that regular finals slot, that we're there for years and really, forever. Because I think what we're trying to do and what they've said that they're trying to do is build this model of sustained success. Now, it's going to take, I hope the shit years are behind us. I hope that what we've experienced in the last 3 or 4 or 5 seasons is the worst of it. And I hope that it can only get better from here. And obviously, you're not going to be winning a flag every year, but I look at Geelong and Hawthorn and even Sydney to an extent, who are down right now, but you can still smell culture there. You can still smell the principles there. So I hope that that's what we've got going on at the moment.
Yeah, true. I agree. Yeah.
Have you got your player?
Not really. No, I don't. No, I don't.
All right.
I must admit, I don't.
I'll pass you on that one then.
Yeah.
All good. Well, mate, it's been a pleasure. I've really, really enjoyed this. Like I said to you, I just enjoy, obviously I love the future and looking ahead, but you've got to learn from the past because it gives you there's little messages in the past that apply for the future. And I really enjoy unpacking that with as many people who have experienced those great years. So thank you very much for sharing your story, and we'll be in touch, no doubt.
Pleasure. God bless you, Terry.
Have a good one, mate. Go Blues.